everybody, and welcome to OutKick Bets the Show. I am your host, Kayla Knierim. Joining me over there in Alabama is my good buddy, Arky Shea. Arky, how is your Tuesday so far, my friend?
It's good. It's a great day to be alive, as Travis Tritt once said. And I know the sun's still shining, when my eyes are closed, something like that. I'm excited. Every day I get to wake up and do this thing with you and get a chance to bet some games. I'm excited. So we got another great slate of football, and not football so much. We'll get some futures in there in a minute. But some good basketball action from the NBA and college basketball tonight. Every day is a great day when we can try to make a little money.
That is exactly right. It is all happening, folks. We are going to start where we always do, with a bet last night. I don't know about you, but I did pretty well on the night. Finally, needed that after last week's disaster. The Patriots, holy moly, outlast the Bills at Highmark Stadium 14-10, and it was all about run, Rudolph. It was certainly one for the books, Arky, as the Patriots weren't going to even think about losing to 40-mile-per-hour wind gust. As a result, they won the game by keeping the ball on the ground literally all night. Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels were not messing around right out of the gate, going for 2 on their first touchdown. We knew then that this is how the series, they were not letting the wind steal their thunder in this one. The Bills learned the lesson the hard way when they kicked a field goal instead of going for it on a crucial fourth down in the fourth quarter that essentially got blown off into the parking lot. So that didn't work out well for them. Let's run through a few stats really quick, though, shall we? Mac Jones was just 2 of 3. I'll repeat that. He was 2 of 3 in passing all night for 19 yards. But New England ran the ball on 46 carries for 222 yards. Josh Allen, on the other hand, was 15 of 30 for 145 yards with 1 touchdown on the night for the Bills. Allen also ran the ball on 6 carries for 39 yards and served as Buffalo's leading rusher. All around, not an ideal night, especially for all you fantasy football players out there, unless, of course, you had Damian Harris, who did run the ball for 111 yards on 10 carries. But you know what? I took the Pats at plus 2.5. My bet hit. Therefore, I'm one happy gal today. Arky, how did things go for you and your Monday Night Football matchup? This was madness, or a mess, depending on how you looked at it.
It was, but it was one of those really, beautiful kind of games to watch, right? You knew from the very beginning, starting on this show, we told you there was going to be some lake snow before the game, and there was some lake snow. The winds, we told you, were going to be brutal all night, 20, 40-mile-an-hour consistent winds, gusts in the 50 to 60-mile-an-hour range. We knew it was going to be a tumultuous kind of night as far as the weather is concerned. And we knew because, the weather told us so. And Buffalo is kind of weird this time of the year. They're going to play again in a few weeks in New England, and I wouldn't expect anything other than it to be cold and weird there, too. But I do think it's interesting that this game went down to the running game, and Buffalo sort of gave up on it. They gave up on it because they didn't have a lot of success on early downs. But that didn't stop the Patriots. The Patriots ran, as you said, to Mr. Rudolph. They ran all over the place. And they were running on 3rd and 18s for crying out loud. They just knew it was going to be that type of game. And Buffalo did what we're used to teams doing against the old New England Patriots, which is they gave the game away. Buffalo never put New England in a position to have to come back and win the game in those elements. And that's crucial in a game like this. Because as you said, Mac Jones only threw the ball 3 times. In fact, New England ran it 32 straight times. 32 straight times. One for every team in the NFL. Between 43 seconds into the first quarter until halfway through the third quarter. It was madness. And it was kind of a beautiful thing to see. But Buffalo gave the game away. They made the mistakes. They committed the fumble when they were going in to try to score early in that game. They dropped the touchdown pass midway through the third quarter to Stephon Diggs, who was right on his arms. And, of course, the missed field goal, as you mentioned. This was a game where Bill Belichick earned what's about to happen to him. He's going to be the NFL Coach of the Year. In fact, his odds went last night from plus 300, and he still was the favorite, to now he's still the favorite, and he's down to 150, plus 150 for the odds. He's just the best coach we've ever seen. And he condensed the game, made the Bills give them the game, and they did. Sean McDermott and company did. So hats off to Bill Belichick and the Patriots for being able to win that game. That was a fun, very quick game to watch, too, if you're talking time-wise. That thing only took like less than 3 hours.
Thank goodness for the players. Get them out of that mess. I'm going to hit you with a few fun facts really quick. Those 3 passing attempts for Mac Jones were the fewest by any team since the Bills attempted 2 during the 1974 NFL season. And it goes without saying, but those passing attempts are, of course, the fewest in Patriots history as well. Before that, New England's fewer was 5 attempts in a home game dating back all the way to 1982. Mac Jones only threw 1 pass in the first half. That is now the fewest in that category by a team since 1978. And lastly, New England's 1 passing first down of the night is the second fewest in franchise history. Their fewest since 1983, and something the league hasn't seen done since the Steelers did it in 2010. Quick question, though, for you, Arky. If Brady is still the quarterback in New England in this game, do you still see them running the same game plan? Are we still running the ball for 46 carries?
No.
Okay.
No. It just that simple. I think you trust Tom Brady more. That first pass that he completed, by the way, Matthew Judon had to go up out of his skis to be able to catch it. And from that point, Bill Belichick was like, nah, we're not going to lose the game this way.
Absolutely not. Smart game plan by them, and it was definitely a fun one to watch. So hats off to the Patriots. Look out for them, by the way. I'm getting a little bit nervous with how they're doing lately, so... All right, we're going to move on to our college football champion futures are here. In case you missed it yesterday, we previewed the college football playoff matchups that will consist of number 1 Alabama taking on number 4 Cincinnati and number 2 Michigan taking on number 3 Georgia. And today we are taking a look at the champions futures odds, which goes as follows. We've got Alabama at plus 120, Georgia plus 175, Michigan plus 750, and Cincinnati plus 1,800. Arky, what do you make of all of this?
Well, if you're a silly goose and you want to go against Nick Saban in Alabama, there are odds for you to be able to do it.
Don't be a silly goose.
When Nick Saban and Alabama get into this playoff, more often than not that they win, and if they lose, it takes an extraordinary team/effort to be able to get there. And I look at the other 3 teams. Does Georgia have that extraordinary team? Really good defense? The game-managing type quarterback in Stetson Bennett, the mailman? I don't know if that's the guy. And then you look at Heisman finalist Aiden Hutchinson on defense for the Michigan Wolverines, and McNamara, the quarterback for Michigan, and think, is that a team that's good enough to be able to do it? Maybe they're more balanced, I think, offensively and defensively than Georgia is, as far as how good that their playmakers are. And then you look at Cincinnati, little old Cincinnati sitting there at plus 1,800. They're the long shot, obviously. And they got to play Alabama in a month, and you just can't give Alabama that much time to get ready for a team, or they will, at the very least, win, more than likely destroy the opponent that's on the other side of the field. So if I'm looking anywhere, if I'm not taking Bama, which is the short odds, clearly a plus 120,
yeah,
I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on Michigan, just because there's a little bit of a mojo factor with them right now. And because I do think that offensively and defensively, they are more congruous to being able to win a championship and to beat an Alabama or a Georgia, more specifically coming up here in a few weeks, than, say, Cincinnati's going to be able to. And plus 750 gives me pretty decent cashback odds on that. So I'll sprinkle a little bit on Michigan for that game as well. Plus, I mean, you look at Josh Gaddis, the offensive coordinator for Michigan. That dude knows Alabama, too. Used to be on the staff there. So I think you're looking at Michigan as if you're not going to Alabama, Michigan's probably the only bet I would do.
All right. Yeah, never underestimate a team with a chip on their shoulder. Yeah. Are you surprised Michigan is that high of a number?
No, because, listen, what this number really is just to tell you is that they want you, does Las Vegas and the sports books, to be able to bet that number down, right? And so they're trying to entice you to get onto Michigan and to get off of Alabama, which is likely the team that's going to be able to win it. So they're trying to tease you and to get it there, and I'm not surprised it's that high because, listen, plus 750 looks kind of juicy right now. So if it happened, sure. I mean, Vegas is right at least half the time. So maybe you get the half that's wrong and you go and get Michigan on it. But they're just trying to get you to sort of get off Alabama a little bit because they'll be such short favorites like they are right now.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Looking forward to all of those games coming up here in the next couple of weeks. We are now going to move on to our game of the day. We are headed to the NBA. All lines are according to FanDuel Sportsbook. We are looking at the Nets, who are 16-7, 8-2 on the road. And of course, sitting in first in the East, taking on the Dallas Mavericks, who are 11-11, 6-5 at home. Brooklyn here is the 3-point favorite with a total of 219. Arky, who do you like in this game tonight?
Well, for me, it's kind of simple here. Like I like the number one team in the East right now, in the Brooklyn Nets. Like they're a team. They aren't blowing everybody out like you would expect them to. Mm-hmm. Like this was before the Kyrie situation. They aren't the fully staffed team, and James Harden's coming off this sort of slow start to the season because he's not been able to bang into dudes and get random 3-point foul calls when he shouldn't. So there's been an adjustment period for him, and this team has been so much Kevin Durant, but he's lived up to the billing. He has been up to the cause so far, and now going on the road is sort of interesting, and only getting a couple of points on this it's a good number. In fact, I think that line just keeps moving further and further towards 3.5, 4. So you may want to go ahead and get it now if you like them, and I sort of do like Brooklyn in this. But if I look at Brooklyn, they're 8-2 on the road, right? Mm-hmm. They're a good road team too, and they're third in the league on the road in scoring, and they're first in offensive efficiency on the road. They're also second in opponent field goal percentage and in points on the road and road up field goal percentage as well on the road. So I like this Brooklyn team on the road because they get it done in a different way than we expect them to be able to get it done. So I'm going to trust in Kevin Durant tonight. I'm going to go ahead and buy it back down to 2. If you get it at 3.5, go down to 3. Get that hook off your back tonight. I like them as a short favorite, but I'm also going with the prop play here tonight. If you look at what Brooklyn's doing right now, and those numbers I just gave you, as far as being so good on the road, as far as holding their teams under 40% shooting on the road, and in the last 5 games especially, they've been phenomenal that way too. And they're so good on the road. The fact that the first quarter point total is at 27.5 for Dallas, I feel like it's a steal tonight. They've gone 4 straight games where it's 23 points or fewer in the first quarter. I think Brooklyn's going to be one of those teams that holds them to 18 to 20 points in the first quarter. So I like Brooklyn tonight. I got it at the -2, but if you get the -3, I'm okay. And I'm also taking Dallas to go under 27.5 points tonight in that first quarter.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to do something a little wacky. You mentioned Brooklyn doing well on the road, but as we know, all good things must come to an end, and I think that happens tonight. The Nets are coming off a loss to the Bulls over the weekend, who have won 3 of their last 5 and 9 of their last 12, most of which were layups, pun absolutely intended. While the Mavs have struggled a bit, dropping back-to-back games in their last 2 and have lost 7 of their last 9, most of which were against some tougher teams. Yes, this line feels closer than it should, but Brooklyn's wins have, again, been against mediocre to bad teams or closer than they should have been. They are 1-8 against the spread in their last 9. So could this be the night the Mavs turn things around? Well, Dallas fans can hope. I think this all rides on the Mavs injuries. Luka is expected to return to the lineup after sitting out the last game, which should definitely help, along with Hardaway Jr. and Porzingis. By the way, Dallas is 0-4 without Luka and 3-4 without Porzingis, so they definitely need those guys back. This is another one I went back and forth on. Both teams aren't doing great against the spread. The Nets are 8-14-1. Dallas is 9-13. The Mavs have dropped 4 straight home games, and I think they are ready to pick up that win. So assuming Doncic, Hardaway, and Porzingis are all back, and they should be, I think I'm going to take Dallas at +3 and crossing my fingers for a little shakeup, Arky. Crickets.
Like, even if Luka comes back in, he's battling thumb issues and ankle issues. Like, I don't know if he's going to be anywhere near 100% to be able to play. So, I mean, you may be right on that case. You had a hot night last night, and you're on a bit of a hot streak, so you may be right here. I just don't know where the scoring is going to be able to come from for all 4 quarters, because Luka may not even play the majority of the minutes he's used to. So
that's also true. I don't know. I think this one could go either way, so I'm going to ride with the plus money. All right, looking at our spotlight matchup of the day, we are headed to the NHL. We're going to look at the Minnesota Wild, who are 17-6-1, headed to the Edmonton Oilers, who are 16-7. Haven't lost in overtime or shootout yet. The Wild are first in the Central Division, while the Oilers sit right behind the Flames in the Pacific Division at number 2. Edmonton is the slight favorite, puck line at +198 with a total of 6.5. Arky, a little hockey for us today. Who are you riding with in this one?
Who says we don't talk hockey on this program? Come on now. I really like this matchup because, first of all, it's two really good teams, and also
Yes.
a lot of scoring. These are the third and fourth ranked offenses in the NHL right now, so I'm expecting a lot of goals. Hopefully, as you mentioned, the Oilers are, I guess, actually on the actual money line minus 130, so it's a little steep for the juice, but not too bad. The total's of 5.5. Connor McDavid's going to be able to come back. I don't know if sort of people remember that he got, I think, his first ever game misconduct, his major game misconduct, and he got kicked out of that game against L.A. on Sunday.
Yes.
That was a game with 6.5 minutes to go. He got kicked out. It was 2-1 L.A. The final ended up being 5-1 for crying out loud. So it got kind of ugly kind of quick. Listen, the Oilers are 9-2 at home. I really like that aspect since they're going to be able to home. In fact, that they're not 8-2-1 on the over at home as well, which is sort of where I lean with this one. As I sort of pay attention to some of these numbers, I feel like I'm going to get a lot of goals. But it looks like back in goal tonight for Minnesota is going to be Cam Talbot, who is their usual netminder. And when he's in goal, the last 4 games, he's only given up 8 goals, which is pretty good. Kayla, would you like to know a fun fact about one of the players on this team?
I would love a fun fact. Hit me.
Cam Talbot, he's Canadian, but do you know where he played his college hockey?
Probably in Minnesota or Boston, or actually probably not, since you're asking me.
21 and a half minutes away
Florida.
from my house at the University of Alabama in Huntsville.
Hello. That is
That's
a fun
right,
fact.
Yeah, very, very cool for him. Although I tend to lean toward the Oilers in the money line in this game, I am going to take the over 5.5 though tonight for the total goals. So I'm just going to not root against my guy Cam Talbot tonight, but I am going to say that there's going to be a lot of goals, and whoever scores them, so I don't have to be against Cam Talbot. But if you're asking me to lean aside, I'm leaning Edmonton. But outside of that, give me the over 5.5 all day.
All right. Love that. It was 6.5 last night, so my apologies if that changed there. Okay. I am going to do this. Minnesota is currently riding a 6-game winning streak. 2 of those wins came in the shootout, and the Oilers have lost their last 2 on the road at Seattle and at home against my Kings on Sunday. As you mentioned, big win for the Kings. Kirill the Thrill leads the Wild with 29 points in 24 games. The Wild are solid on the attack, sitting 3rd in offense production, with 12 of their players already sitting at double digits. Minnesota's captain is expected to return to the lineup. He's coming off a lower body injury, which should also give them a boost in Jared Spurgeon. Edmonton, on the other hand, has lacked defensively, which should be interesting going up against a team that is high-scoring happy and has averaged a combined 7 goals in each of their 9 games. So the Wild are hot. Not only that, but the Wild have scored 25 goals in their last 5 games. However, this will be the start of a 4-game road trip for them, so who knows how that will factor in. I'm leaning with the Wild in this one, Arky, and I do kind of like the over, as you mentioned, of 5.5 just for funsies, but give me the Wild and give me the over, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, if this thing shoots up by the time you're betting it to 6.5 or something, then I would say take the under, because the Wild have 7 of the last 12 have gone under this season, especially on the road, and that is a fantastic number to be able to get it at. But if you get it at 5.5, that's going the over. That's the interesting middle ground I'll be sort of paying attention to with this game. So I'm excited for it. I think this will be a really, really, really fun matchup. 2
great teams going at it. Love it. All right, it is now time to head to our quick hitters of the day. Arky, where are you going with your quick hitter?
I'm going to college basketball, where the Jimmy V Classic is going to tip off in the Madison Square Garden, where one team should be playing right now and winning, my Knicks, but they're not doing either. Actually, they're not playing or winning right now. So it's Tennessee taking on Texas Tech, and it's a matchup of a Tennessee team who is really good. Who's got some good players like John Fulkerson, and they got a brand new freshman in Kennedy Kennedy Chandler. I almost forgot his last name because he's got 2 first names. It's weird when that happens. So Kennedy Chandler, who had the most field goals in a game for a Tennessee Volunteer in 9 years. He was 13, I think, of 20 over the weekend against Colorado and getting that win. You know, Rick Barnes is the coach at Tennessee, and remember, he had a bunch of time at Texas, too. And so his career against Texas Tech, he is 33-4. That's not a typo. That's the real record. He is 33-4 against Texas Tech. And the number right now, you can get it about 3.5. I bet it down to 3 when it came up late last night. Because I really, 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 really like Tennessee in this game, and I like them big in this game. Tennessee is a team that, although they haven't won all these games, they lost to Villanova, they beat North Carolina by 17, and they beat Colorado over the weekend by 15. Those are Power 5 major conference wins, while Texas Tech, they're coming off their first loss of the season against Providence, and their other wins on the season literally are like Lamar, Incarnate Word, Omaha, Grambling, and there's nothing against those teams because I'm a big supporter of the Group of 5 and the mid-majors when it comes to basketball. But those aren't the same level of tested teams as Tennessee's had already. So I like the fact that there is more talent for Tennessee. I like the fact that they've been more tested as Tennessee. And I like the fact that they're on a nice little streak right now, and a nice little roll, where I think they're going to roll tonight against Texas Tech, and I don't even think it's particularly close.
Roll, roll, roll.
That's right.
Best of luck with you there.
Ball for life, baby.
All right, I'm headed to the NBA, back to the NBA, really. The Celtics, who are 13-11, 7-7 on the road, are going to visit the LA Lakers, who are 12-12, 8-7 at home. Both teams sit in 8th place in the East and West, respectively. LA with the 2.5-point favorite here, slight favorite, with a total of 219.5. This will be the second time these two teams have faced one another this season. That game went to Boston 130-108. In said game, Jason Tatum led the Celtics with 37 points, while Anthony Davis was the leading scorer for the Lakers with 31. And speaking of Tatum, he leads Boston in points and rebounds, while Marcus Smart carries them in assists. Anthony Davis leads the Lakers in points and rebounds still, while my guy, Russell Westbrook, tops the team in assists. In their last 10 games, the Lakers are 4-6, while the Celtics are 6-4. As for these numbers, LA is 8-16 against the spread and 1-9 against the spread as at least the 3-point favorite, which doesn't give me a ton of confidence. While the Celtics have gone into games as the underdog 9 times this season and have won 3 of them and are 9-4-1 against the spread. I think this one is going to come down to who is playing and who isn't playing, kind of like in the game above that we discussed. Boston is in the middle of a 5-game road trip and split the first 2 without Jaylen Brown on the floor. He is still listed as day-to-day, but even without him, the Celtics are averaging 137 points in the games he's missed, so they're still doing okay. While the Lakers have LeBron, Davis, and Carmelo all listed as day-to-day as well, I will say Boston is 4-3-1 against the spread as the road dog, and LA is 3-10 as the home favorite so far. Even though the stats are stacked against me, I'm riding with the home team in more ways than one, with the Lakers at -2.5. The Lakers have hit this total, by the way, of 219 in 3 of their last 5, while the Celtics have hit it in 2 of their last 5. I think it can hit, so I would also lean the over, but again, it all depends on who's actually going to be on the court. But I do like the Lakers at -2.5, Arky.
These two teams have been hard for me to be able to get my arms around so far this season.
It's a toss-up.
This is a game when I was looking at sort of the odds late last night and then this morning. I don't know. I really don't know. Again, this is one of those I wish you luck games. I'm staying way away from this one because they've tried to break my heart a few times this season, and it's on me if I let them do it, right? So I'm going to stop letting them try to break my heart and then just sort of try to figure out some more consistency from these two teams before I put more money on them.
That's fair. Can't fault you there. I'm just taking a little risk with this one. All right, and last but not least, our games to look out for, what we are looking forward to coming up this weekend. Arky, what are you looking forward to in your game to look out for?
The Army-Navy game is this weekend.
Yay!
Get excited for that
Love
one.
this game.
That's at MetLife Stadium for the second straight year, and it's going to be obviously a really fun matchup, as it is every single year. It is the premier game on Saturday, not because it's just the only one. You can watch FCS playoff stuff if you want to, and I sometimes, actually a lot of times do. But this is the game that gets its own standalone day for a reason. It's full of the pageantry. It's full of the oohs and ahs and the really coolness of this game. And Army is a 7.5-point favorite because they are a much better team right now. But the total is fascinating, too, because it's 34.5 right now. And you think that's really low. That is really, really, really low. It's easily the lowest total for either one of these two teams this season. So that number, if it keeps dropping, and that might be an overplay by the time we get to Thursday's show. But Army it has been the better team this year. Obviously, they're 8-4 this year, so clearly they're better than Navy, who has struggled in the last couple of seasons. In fact, there's been discussion about whether Ken Niumatalolo is going to still be the head coach at some point for Navy and how long he's going to stay the head coach there. But outside of that, I'm going to pay attention to this total as the week goes on. I mean, this game never sort of goes the way you sort of expect it to. Navy dominated for a whole bunch of years until Army won a handful of years ago, and now Army all of a sudden becomes this favorite team in this game. And this is also a really cool game to watch out for the uniforms, because the uniforms are always really
never
cool.
disappoint.
So, absolutely never disappoint. So I'm looking forward to this game, as I do every single season, and I'm looking forward to this total dropping a little bit more for me. Maybe I can get it over 34, maybe 33 by the time we get to Thursday or kickoff. In that case, I might be able to just go ahead and say, give me the over.
All right. Betting lines aside, is there one team in this matchup that you tend to root for over the other?
No.
Do you have an alliance to one?
The only tie I have to the United States military academies is my father-in-law, and he's Air Force. So I lean a little bit toward the Air Force when it comes to the Commanders Cup and stuff. But no, I don't have myself a favorite in this game. I just this is one of the few times I'll just sit back and relax and enjoy a game, and obviously put some money on it, of course.
Okay. Yeah, I have a few friends that went to Air Force. We had a friend that used to actually coach at Navy a few years back and went to Annapolis, got the whole tour. So I've always kind of leaned Navy, but now I have friends that are big into Army. So I don't know. It's just a fun game for all. I root for both teams. All right, I am looking ahead to the NFL. Bills, who obviously we saw last night, 7-5 now, 4-2 on the road, visit the Buccaneers, who are 9-3 and undefeated at home. Tampa Bay sits atop the NFC South, while the Bills sit a little farther behind New England now in the AFC East. Buffalo is the 3-point dog going into this one with a total of 52.5. Tampa Bay will head into Sunday's matchup riding on a 3-game winning streak and have won 7 of their last 9. Buffalo, on the other hand, as we know, dropped to the Patriots last night, and since their win against the Chiefs on October 10th, have gone win-lose, 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 win-lose. And unfortunately for them, I think this will be the first time this season that they will pick up back-to-back losses, messing up that impressive pattern come Sunday. The weather, however, should be a welcomed improvement compared to last night's game. However, we will see some more offensive action than we did last night in this one, as Josh Allen is currently 9th in passing with over 3,000 yards and 25 touchdowns, who, as we know, will be going up against Tom Brady, who, yes, still sits in first in passing at over 3,700 yards, and he's also first in touchdowns with 34. This total seems fair, seeing as how the Bills are averaging 28 a game and the Bucs put up 31. However, the home team has only exceeded this number of 52.5 in 6 games, while the Bills have only done it in 5. So maybe I will stay away from the total, maybe lean the under. The Bucs are averaging 128 more yards per game than the Bills at 402. Than the Bills allow per game at 275. Tampa is 6-6 against the spread. The Bills are 8-4. I mean, I don't know what more there is to say other than Tom Brady, who threw 4 touchdowns in their game against the Falcons last weekend. You've also got plenty of weapons to choose from offensively in Goodwin, Evans, Gronk, Fournette. I think it would be a lot of fun if the Bills went off and made it interesting, and can absolutely see them covering, but I just feel more confident right now in taking the Bucs at -3 instead. So that's where I'm headed with this one. But I think it'll be a good game, hopefully.
Never underestimate the Tom Brady dog factor, meaning he saw what Bill Belichick did to Buffalo on Monday night, and may want to be able to say, oh, okay, interesting, Bill. You beat them by 4, watch us beat them by 10.
There is that weird competitiveness they have with each other.
I don't think this is not a thing. I mean, getting Gronk back is huge for Tampa. I don't think it's not a thing.
All right. That is going to do it for us today. We will be back here tomorrow on OutKick Bets the Show. Thank you all for tuning in. That is Arky Shea. I am Kayla Knierim. As always, don't forget to make your picks at FanDuel.com/OutKick. Best of luck in your betting, friends, and we will see you right back here tomorrow. Have a good one.